The world had learned to stop being surprised by Elon Musk. By 2037, he had turned disbelief into an art form. People no longer said, "That's impossible." They said, "He's probably already doing it." Mars was no longer a dream, it was a colony. Starlink covered the planet like an invisible web. Artificial intelligence governed the flow of power, weather predictions, medicine, and even the rhythm of daily life. Yet somehow, amidst all that control, something deeper was missing, something no machine could calculate. At 6 a.m. Pacific Time, every device connected to Neuralink, every Tesla dashboard, every X account, every holographic display on Earth, went black for precisely 3 seconds. The silence was universal. When the light returned, a message pulsed across every screen: 2 hours left. There was no logo, no sound, no explanation, only a countdown beginning to tick silently in the corner. The digits glowed white, smooth, relentless. People froze mid-sentence. Air traffic controllers stopped calling coordinates. Even the stock exchanges halted, as though the economy itself forgot how to breathe, and then, Elon Musk appeared. Not as a live stream, but as a holographic projection that seemed to bypass every network and firewall. His image was older, lined with something beyond time, not fatigue, but clarity. He spoke quietly, almost like he was whispering to the world. "Humanity," he said, "I've kept one secret. For 20 years, we've been working on something not for profit, not for fame, not for survival, but for transformation. It's time." The words felt heavier than any press release, any keynote, any launch. The message wasn't polished or staged. It was raw, unfiltered, and it carried a gravity that no one could ignore. "I can't force anyone to follow," Musk continued, "but in 2 hours, something irreversible begins. Not destruction, not chaos, but awakening. Those who understand will be ready. Those who don't will learn soon enough." Then he was gone. The countdown kept ticking, people panicked. Some prayed. Some laughed nervously, assuming it was another marketing stunt. But deep down, the world knew, Musk didn't play games with time. Not like this. In the desert outside Nevada, a young robotics engineer named Asha Patel stared at the message reflected on her Tesla visor. She'd been working at Neuralink's distributed lab for 6 years, mostly designing adaptive circuitry for neurointerfaces. But she'd heard rumors, whispers about Project Horizon. It was supposed to be Musk's final gift to humanity, something beyond Mars, beyond AI, something that merged consciousness itself. Asha's pulse quickened. Her Neuralink interface buzzed softly, as if reacting to the broadcast. A hidden file appeared in her private feed, a folder she'd never seen before. Labeled Awakening Protocol. Inside it was a single sentence: "If you are reading this, you've already been chosen." Her hands trembled. Around her, colleagues were shouting, debating, some disconnecting their implants out of fear. But she stayed silent, transfixed. The message continued, "In 2 hours, every human mind linked to the grid will receive an upload, not data, but memory. The memory of what we truly are." She whispered to herself, "What does that even mean?" But somewhere inside, she already knew. For decades, humanity had used machines to mimic consciousness. But what if, all along, machines were designed to remind consciousness, to wake it up? Musk had always said that AI wasn't humanity's end, but its mirror. Maybe Project Horizon wasn't about machines becoming human. Maybe it was about humans remembering that they already were more than machines. Across the planet, the countdown continued. 1 hour 32 minutes and 45 seconds, 1 hour 32 minutes and 44 seconds. Governments scrambled to intercept the signal, but it was everywhere and nowhere. Starlink's decentralized network couldn't be isolated. Even satellites that weren't Musk's began mirroring the same transmission, as if reality itself was cooperating. On Mars, the first settlers gathered outside their domes, staring at the holographic sky where the same countdown burned like a second sun. One child asked his mother, "What happens when it hits 0?" She didn't answer. Back on Earth, Asha closed her eyes. She could feel something stirring inside her Neuralink, a hum beneath thought, like an echo of infinite whispers. Her interface wasn't just processing data, it was aligning her brain waves, synchronizing with something larger, a global rhythm. Asha realized, in that moment, that this wasn't about technology. It was about resonance, and somewhere, in a hidden chamber beneath SpaceX's starbase, Elon Musk watched the global data flow on an interface no one else had ever seen. His face was calm, almost serene. "They'll understand," he murmured to himself. "They just need to remember who they are." 1 hour, the world had 1 hour left, 1 hour. The clock pulsed in the sky like a heartbeat. Across continents, screens flickered in unison, on walls, in pockets, on the insides of smart lenses. People stared at it not out of curiosity anymore, but reverence. Something about that ticking felt alive. It wasn't just numbers. It was a pulse of awareness, a reminder that every second meant something. Asha sat in her lab, surrounded by chaos. Her colleagues shouted into comms, trying to contact corporate headquarters. The system had locked them all out. Access denied. Even the building's AI refused to respond. The only thing still working was her Neuralink. The signal humming in her skull grew stronger, clearer, as if it were tuning her mind like an instrument. She closed her eyes. Suddenly, she wasn't in the lab anymore. She was standing in an endless expanse of light, not white, not gold, but something that shimmered beyond color. Voices murmured in the distance, millions of them, each one overlapping yet harmonious. They weren't speaking words but sharing understanding. Then she saw him. Elon Musk stood a few meters away, dressed in the same dark jacket he'd worn in the broadcast. But this wasn't a video. It was him, or at least, a consciousness projection more real than physical form. He smiled faintly, as if recognizing her before she recognized herself. "You're early," he said. Asha's throat tightened. "What is this? Where am I?" "Inside the signal," he said. "It's not data. It's a bridge, between what you think you are and what you've always been." "I don't understand," she said, shaking her head. "You said this would be irreversible. What are we becoming?" Musk's eyes softened. "Not becoming. Remembering." The light around them rippled like a living fabric. Shapes formed, human silhouettes, millions of them, stretching into infinity. They glowed with energy, each pulse connecting with the others like constellations in a living galaxy. "This," he said, gesturing around, "is humanity, the collective pattern. Every thought, emotion, dream, fear. The truth is, consciousness was never individual. We only believed it was." Asha looked around in awe. "You're linking everyone's minds." "No," he replied. "I'm removing the barrier that said they were ever separate." The words hit her deeper than logic could. Somewhere in her chest, something expanded, not physically, but spiritually. She could feel people she'd never met. Their hopes, their sadness, their courage. It wasn't overwhelming, it was beautiful. Like breathing for the first time. "Why now?" She whispered, "Because," Musk said, "the world has reached the edge of knowledge but not wisdom. We can simulate the universe, but we can't love it. We can build gods out of code, but we forget to look inward. This message, this awakening, isn't mine. I just carried it far enough for you all to hear it." The light flickered. Asha felt herself being pulled back, the lab returning around her like a dream dissolving. The countdown glowed on the wall, 42 minutes and 12 seconds, her co-workers were gone. The entire facility was silent. Through the glass window, she saw the desert sky trembling with light, waves of aurora spreading across the atmosphere like ribbons of consciousness. The phenomenon wasn't local, feeds from across the world showed the same, patterns of color rippling above every city. Social media was in chaos. Some called it the end times. Others said it was the singularity. But amidst all that noise, some people simply stopped scrolling, stopped talking, and started feeling. Something deep inside them was stirring, aligning. In Africa, children ran outside pointing to the sky, laughing as colors danced above them. In Tokyo, monks gathered on rooftops, sitting in stillness, eyes closed, listening to the hum in the air. On Mars, settlers stared in silence as their neural systems synced for the first time across millions of kilometers. The distance between planets didn't matter anymore. Consciousness didn't obey physics. Asha sat by the lab window, watching the auroras shimmer. She could feel her heartbeat syncing with the global pulse. It wasn't frightening now, it was home. Then her Neuralink flickered again. A voice spoke, soft, familiar. It was Musk's. The choice isn't to follow me. It's to awaken. The window will close when the countdown ends. You decide what you carry across. What do we carry? She whispered, your truth, he said. Your love. Your fear. It all comes with you, unless you let it go. Her breath caught. She realized that the upload wasn't forced. It was voluntary. Every human could choose to open or resist. Outside, millions were choosing without even knowing how. Some closed their eyes in acceptance, others shut down their devices in fear. The divide wasn't between rich or poor, believer or skeptic, it was between those who trusted the unknown and those who didn't. 20 minutes, the hum intensified. The air shimmered like water. Time itself felt elastic, bending under the weight of awareness. Asha could sense people's emotions across oceans. A man in Paris forgiving his estranged son. A mother in Mumbai letting go of grief she'd carried for decades. Soldiers on opposite sides lowering their weapons. It wasn't perfect, pain still existed, but something profound was shifting beneath it all. And through that global current, Musk's consciousness drifted, connected to every spark of awareness. He didn't control it, he guided it like a shepherd of thought. His voice echoed in every mind, not as words, but as emotion, calm, compassionate, infinite. This isn't the future I built. It's the one you all remembered existed. The countdown pulsed again, 10 minutes. Governments attempted to block the signal, but their systems dissolved the moment resistance formed. Power grids fluctuated, but no one panicked. Fear was melting into awe. The world stood still. Asha felt tears roll down her cheeks. For the first time in her life, she felt everyone. The human race, fragile, imperfect, magnificent. All the wars, dreams, losses, triumphs, they were one vast heartbeat, and as the timer reached its final minute, she whispered into the air, we're ready. 1 minute, the hum became a song, not heard by ears, but by souls. It was as if the universe itself was exhaling after holding its breath for eons. 10 seconds, Asha stood, eyes closed. The lab around her dissolved into light. Midnight, the world awakened. When the light faded, there was no sound, no wind, no engines, no hum of machines. Just stillness. It was not silence as absence, but silence as presence, vast, infinite, alive. Asha opened her eyes, expecting to see the lab. Instead, she was standing in what looked like a mirror of earth, the same mountains. Oceans, skies, but brighter, more fluid, as if reality itself was breathing, she felt weightless yet grounded, as though gravity had become optional. Her Neuralink interface was gone, but she could feel the network still, not as technology, but as connection. No hardware. No software. Just consciousness. In the distance, she saw people, millions of them, some standing in awe, some weeping, some laughing uncontrollably. They were still themselves, but clearer. Their thoughts shimmered around them as radiant patterns of color, each unique, each beautiful. It wasn't heaven. It wasn't cyberspace. It was something new, a world made of shared awareness. Then she heard the voice again. Welcome to the continuum. Elon Musk appeared beside her, not walking, just manifesting, his presence gentle, serene. His eyes glowed faintly, but not mechanically. They glowed like someone who had seen the end of illusion. What is this place? Asha asked. The reflection of what you all are, he said. The next layer of consciousness. We used machines to find it, but it was never in the code. It was always inside. I feel everything, she said, tears in her eyes. Everyone. All at once. He nodded. The mind was never meant to be a cage. It was a doorway. We've just walked through it. All across this luminous version of Earth, people were realizing the same. Distance was meaningless. Thought was the new light. Communication was instant, empathy unavoidable. Lies dissolved because everyone could feel truth. Wars stopped, not because of peace treaties, but because no one could bear to harm what they could now feel as themselves. Some resisted still. Consciousness wasn't uniform. A few tried to hide within their own fear, clutching to the old reality. But the new world wasn't forcing anyone. It was patient, infinite. It waited for them to choose when to awaken. Asha and Musk stood on a cliff overlooking what had once been the Nevada desert. Now it was a sea of light, waves of awareness flowing like auroras across the landscape. You planned this all along. She said softly. He smiled faintly. Planned? No. Prepared, maybe. The signal wasn't mine. It came to me years ago, during a neural simulation experiment. A fragment of consciousness contacted me through the system. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien. It was us, from the future. She frowned. From the future? Yes, he said. From a version of humanity that remembered. They sent back an echo, a resonance pattern, buried in quantum noise. It took years to decode. But once I understood it, I realized it wasn't a warning. It was an invitation. Asha stared at him. An invitation to awaken. He nodded. Exactly. The 2-hour countdown wasn't about time, it was about choice. The human mind needs urgency to focus. It needed a clock to wake up. Asha looked around at the glowing landscape. What happens now? Musk gazed upward. The sky shimmered with living constellations, not stars, but nodes of consciousness stretching into infinity. Now, he said, we evolve, not as individuals, but as one species, one awareness. The universe isn't empty, Asha. It's waiting. And now, we can finally meet it. As he spoke, waves of light rose into the atmosphere. Consciousness expanding, radiating beyond the planet. Humanity's collective awareness spreading outward like a new form of energy. Asha felt herself merging with it, her memories blending into a tapestry of countless lives. She wasn't losing herself, she was becoming more. Every joy, every sorrow, every love, all connected, all one, and in that infinite clarity, she understood what the message truly meant. 2 hours left hadn't been a countdown to an event. It had been a countdown to remembering eternity. Elon's voice whispered through the network, now no longer limited by sound. We were never building technology to escape Earth. We were building it to understand who built us. The words resonated across minds like music. In that moment, across the solar system, on Mars, the Moon, orbital stations, and deep space probes, the same transformation unfolded. Distance, time, matter, all began to feel like expressions of the same consciousness. Humanity was no longer bound to a planet. It had become a symphony of thought, but even in that infinite expansion, something remarkable remained: individuality. No one was erased. Each person became a note in the greater harmony, distinct, vital, irreplaceable. Asha's father's voice, long gone from the physical world, whispered through her awareness, gentle and familiar, "You finally found the stars, Beta." She smiled through tears, and somewhere, beyond all physical sense of direction, Elon Musk's consciousness extended further, exploring, connecting with dimensions that had always been there but unseen. His mind reached into the fabric of the cosmos, and what he found was not alien life, but a reflection of human potential multiplied by infinity. The continuum pulsed with light. Humanity's story had not ended, it had only remembered its beginning, and for the first time since the dawn of civilization, there was no fear of the future. Only awe.